Your next level isn't just a new job, a new opportunity, or a new relationship. It's a new mindset, a new energy, a new identity. And that new version of you can't be reached if you're still holding hands with people who keep pulling you back into who you used to be. You have to decide, do you want comfort or do you want elevation? Every blessing has a cost. The cost of peace might be separation. The cost of growth might be distance. The cost of purpose might be letting go of people you once prayed would never leave. And that's not betrayal, that's alignment, that's maturity. That's recognizing that not everyone grows with you. You don't have to hate them, you don't have to curse them, you just have to outgrow them quietly, with love, with grace, with firm boundaries. Because the next level of your life doesn't require you to carry resentment. It just requires you to carry less baggage. Some people are only meant to teach you a lesson. Some relationships were never meant to last, just to shape you. But now you're holding on out of habit, not purpose. And that habit is blocking your next breakthrough. It's time to release so you can receive. You're not being called, you're being called higher. And that calling requires a lighter load, more focus, more intention, more space. You can't take flight while gripping anchors. You can't soar while dragging emotional weight from the past. Your future requires freedom, not friction. Letting go is preparation, it's positioning, it's obedience to the version of you that's waiting on the other side of fear. So drop the load, not in anger, but in understanding, not in bitterness, but in boldness. And watch how fast your steps get lighter. You've spent so much time looking for love that you forgot how to live without it. You thought being alone meant being behind. Not having a partner meant you weren't worthy. That healing was just a waiting room for the next relationship. But the truth is, the most powerful love story starts with you. You are never meant to find your worth in someone else's presence. You are meant to find it in your reflection, in the way you show up for yourself, in the dreams you pursue, in the peace you protect, in the healing you prioritize. You are meant to be whole, not waiting to be completed. When you become whole, love becomes a bonus, not a lifeline. It becomes something you choose, not something you chase. You're not out here begging to be seen, heard, or chosen. You already know you're valuable, and the right love will recognize that without needing a presentation. Wholeness is the goal. It's walking into a room confident, not because someone's watching, but because you've already approved yourself. It's setting boundaries and keeping them. It's pursuing passions without waiting for permission. It's living life fully, not waiting for a plus one to enjoy it. You'll know you're whole when loneliness stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like freedom. When you can take yourself out, celebrate your wins, sit in your peace, and feel full, not desperate, not restless, just grounded, just grateful, just present. And here's the beautiful part. When you're whole, you attract whole. You stop drawing in brokenness because you stop operating from it. You attract people who respect you, not just want access to you. You attract love that feels safe, steady, and sacred, not chaotic and confusing. Be so whole that when love shows up, it's a bonus, not a rescue mission. Be so rooted in yourself that anything less than peace feels foreign. Be so aligned with your purpose that settling becomes impossible. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. And that's where your real power lives. Everybody's scared of loneliness. But it's not the enemy people think it is. It's not a curse, it's a classroom. It's where you get reintroduced to who you are without all the noise. It's where the mask comes off. It's where the distractions are stripped away and you finally face yourself. That's not punishment. That's preparation. When you stop running from loneliness and start sitting with it, you'll discover things about yourself you couldn't see when you were surrounded by chaos. You'll learn what makes you happy that isn't tied to other people. You'll find peace in silence. You'll uncover the strength in solitude. That's where your roots grow deep. Most people avoid loneliness by jumping from connection to connection. They never stop long enough to ask, who am I without it? They confuse presence with peace, affection with value, and attention with worth. But none of those things define you. Loneliness helps you break that illusion and reconnect with your core. You don't grow by constantly being validated. You grow by learning to validate yourself. You don't find yourself by being surrounded. You find yourself by being still. And when loneliness turns into self-discovery, you stop craving company just to feel less empty. You start enjoying your own space because you filled it with truth. The people who fear loneliness the most are usually the ones who've never been alone long enough to hear their voice. But you're not scared anymore, because now you know loneliness doesn't last forever, but the lessons it teaches do. It's temporary discomfort that leads to permanent growth. Embrace it. Embrace the quiet. Embrace the moments when it's just you and God, or you and your thoughts. That's where clarity lives. That's where strength is built. That's where emotional independence is born. Because once you learn to love your own company, you stop settling for people who just occupy space. Loneliness isn't a signal that you're behind. It's a sign that you're in transition. And in that in-between space, greatness is forming. Identity is being shaped. Your future self is being developed. It's not the end of your story. It's the part where the main character levels up. Growth is lonely, not because you want it to be, but because not everyone will grow with you. You'll notice the shift. Conversations start to feel off. Energy changes. People you used to vibe with no longer resonate with you. That's not your fault. It's a reflection of your elevation. And it's okay to outgrow people. You're not better than them. You're just different now. You think deeper. You move more intentionally. You prioritize peace over chaos, healing over habits, and purpose over popularity. And some people will feel threatened by that. They'll try to pull you back, not because they hate you, but because they fear who you're becoming. You've spent years prioritizing other people's needs, opinions, and expectations. You've bent until you broke, sacrificed until you were empty, loved until you lost sight of yourself. But now it's time to come home to you. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Not to hurt anyone, but to finally heal yourself. Choosing yourself means speaking up when you usually stay silent. It means saying no without guilt. It means taking up space without apologizing. It means honoring your truth, even if it makes others uncomfortable, because for too long you've been comfortable being uncomfortable. That ends now. You can't become who you meant to be by constantly putting yourself last. That version of you, the quiet one, the tired one, the one who keeps peace by betraying themselves, is done. The new you, the real you, they move differently. They know that self-abandonment is not love, it's a slow death. You were never meant to shrink. You were never meant to play small. You were meant to be bold, to stand tall, to take up the space God gave you. Choosing yourself is how you finally step into that identity. No more waiting for permission. No more diluting your presence. It's your time now. Let them call you selfish. Let them misunderstand your boundaries. Let them fall away if they can't handle your healing. That's not your burden to carry. Your only job is to be true to you, and the right people will honor that. The right people will meet you where you are, not try to drag you back. Because when you choose yourself, you teach others how to treat you. You show the world how deeply you value your worth. You set the tone for what comes next. And from that place of power, peace, and purpose, you'll never feel the need to settle again. Some folks are only meant to play a role in a specific scene of your life, not the entire movie. The problem is you try to keep them around long after their lines are done. You rewrite the script just to give them another shot, and they still mess it up. You can't force someone to love you right. You can't keep dragging people through life who've already checked out emotionally. When someone shows you they're done, let them be done. Don't chase what God is trying to subtract. It hurts because you gave them access to your heart, your time, and your dreams. You pictured a future, but they couldn't even be present. You held on tighter thinking they'd wake up one day and appreciate it all. But you can't make someone value you by overextending yourself. All it does is teach them to take more and give less. You deserve reciprocity. You deserve consistency. You deserve peace. It's okay to love someone and still realize they're not good for your soul. You can forgive people and still walk away. Love ain't supposed to feel like begging. It's not supposed to cost you your self-worth. Don't stay loyal to pain just because you're afraid to be alone. Every time you allow someone to mistreat you, you permit them to keep doing it. Break the cycle. You owe yourself more than second chances for people who never earned the first one. Stop hoping they'll become who you thought they were. Stop romanticizing the potential and face the reality. You've outgrown their version of love. You've evolved beyond their limitations. You've seen what true respect looks like, and this ain't it. The more you hold on, the more you delay your healing. Think about what it's costing you, your peace, your sleep, your energy, your passion. It's all bleeding out for someone who can't even say thank you. You wake up drained because your spirit's been fighting battles your heart refused to let go of. And deep down, you know the truth. You just don't want to face it. But you have to. You can't move forward while dragging dead weight. There's freedom on the other side of goodbye. There's power in walking away even when your knees are shaking. You don't need them to validate your worth. You don't need them to complete you. You were whole before they arrive, and you'll be even stronger when they're gone. Start choosing your peace over their presence. Start choosing healing over history. Start choosing you. Letting go isn't quitting. It's graduation. You've outgrown the emotional elementary school they keep pulling you back into. You don't belong in circles where your growth feels like a threat. You weren't made to shrink so someone else can feel tall. It's time to rise. It's time to evolve. It's time to walk in your truth. There's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. One is a choice. The other is a condition. And when you start choosing to be alone for your growth, healing, and clarity, you begin to realize how powerful solitude is. You're not running from people. You're reconnecting with yourself. You're not hiding. You're rebuilding. That's where the shift begins. When you're alone, you hear your thoughts. There's no outside noise to influence your decisions. You can reflect on what you truly want, what you've been tolerating, and what you're no longer willing to accept. Alone time reveals your blind spots. It shows you what you've been ignoring. It forces you to deal with the parts of yourself you kept stuffing down to keep others comfortable. Being alone gives you the space to fall in love with yourself again. You remember your favorite hobbies, your natural laugh, and your raw creativity. You realize you don't need to wait for someone else to make life beautiful. You always could do that on your own. It's not dependent on the company. It's born from confidence. That's the kind of joy no one can take from you. When you're never alone, you lose sight of who you are. You get caught up in serving everyone else's needs, dreams, and expectations. But when you're by yourself, you start asking the hard questions. What makes me happy? What do I want? Who am I without the titles, the attachments, the masks? That's where authenticity is built. That's where healing begins. You don't need to fear the quiet. The quiet is your friend. That silence you run from is the voice of your soul trying to speak to you. Listen to it. There's guidance in that stillness. There's wisdom in those pauses. The noise has been lying to you, but the stillness tells the truth. You are enough. You are worthy. You are whole. Being alone teaches you resilience. You learn how to handle storms by yourself. You learn to wipe your tears, push through your struggles, and celebrate your wins. That kind of strength doesn't come from crowds. It comes from within. And when life tries to shake you again, you'll stand firm because you know how to be your anchor. The people who fear being alone are the ones who haven't spent enough time discovering their true power. They constantly need someone to make them feel important, validated, and seen. But you learn how to see yourself. You learn how to validate yourself. And that's the kind of self-love that transforms everything. There comes a point where you stop asking who's around me and start asking what's the energy around me? Because not all company is good company. Just because someone's in the room doesn't mean they're adding anything to your life. Some people bring tension, manipulation, passive aggression, and drama, and you've been calling that friendship, calling that love, calling that loyalty, but it's just emotional chaos in disguise. Peace doesn't come with noise. It doesn't come with games, guessing, or pretending to be okay when you're exhausted. Peace is walking into your space and exhaling. It's waking up without dread. It's conversations that don't feel like battles. You got to stop confusing familiarity with comfort. Just because you've known someone a long time doesn't mean they deserve to be in your life forever. Ask yourself, how do you feel after talking to them? Drained or energized? Confused or clear? Heavy or light? That answer tells you everything you need to know. Some people don't come to grow with you, they come to drain you. They come to feed off your light while dimming your spirit. And you keep giving them access because you're afraid to be alone with yourself. That fear is costing you your peace. You weren't put on this earth to babysit someone else's brokenness at the expense of your well-being. Yes, you can love people. Yes, you can support people. But if loving them means constantly neglecting yourself, it's time to reevaluate the connection. Boundaries ain't betrayal. Distance ain't disrespect. Sometimes loving yourself means loving them from afar. Peace is what helps you hear from God. Peace is what sharpens your vision. Peace is what fuels your creativity, your clarity, your purpose. When you trade your peace for a toxic connection, you delay your destiny. You cloud your discernment. You start settling for survival when you were made to thrive. That's too high a price to pay for someone who doesn't even value what you bring. You got to make a decision. Do you want peace or do you want company? But you won't always get both. Sometimes the company you keep is the exact reason your life feels so off. Let them go. Let the tension go. Let the confusion go. Choose silence if it means saving your soul. Peace over people every time. Your peace is your power. It's what helps you hear your intuition. It's what gives you strength in moments when life feels overwhelming. Stop giving your power to people who don't even know what to do with it. Protect your space like your life depends on it, because it does. You keep showing up for everybody, family, friends, partners, but when's the last time you showed up for you? You can't keep giving and giving and giving and think you won't eventually burn out. There's a difference between being generous and being drained. You've been playing savior to everybody else, but who's saving you? That constant giving has turned into people-pleasing. That selflessness has turned into self-neglect. And now you're waking up tired, emotionally bankrupt, mentally exhausted, not because of life, but because of how much you're caring for everybody else. You become the crutch in other people's lives, but your legs are shaking. That's not sustainable. That's not love. That's self-destruction in disguise. Filling your cup isn't selfish, it's necessary. Rest is necessary. Boundaries are necessary. Saying no is necessary. You can't be the strong one all the time. You can't heal people who refuse to heal themselves. You've got to be okay with letting others figure things out while you take care of your healing. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is sit still. Just breathe. Just be. Let the weight fall off your shoulder. Let the pressure go. You don't always have to be in control. You don't always have to have the answers. You're allowed to fall apart. You're allowed to take a break. You're allowed to choose yourself. But when you learn to prioritize your well-being, everything shifts. You start showing up as your best self, full, focused, and free. Your relationships improve because you're not operating out of obligation anymore. You're giving from abundance, not depletion. And the people who truly love you will understand that. The ones who don't, they were only around for what they could take anyway. Stop proving your love by how much you sacrifice. Start proving your self-love by how much you protect your energy. You don't have to earn your worth through burnout. You don't have to bleed to feel valuable. You're enough simply because you exist. You matter even when you rest. You're still powerful even when you pause. Refill your cup. Rebuild your spirit. Rediscover your joy, because when you're full, your light shines without force. Your presence uplifts without effort. That's what real power looks like. Healing ain't a performance. It's not supposed to be posted, polished, or perfect. It's messy, it's lonely, it's quiet. The real work, it happens when no one's watching. It happens when you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, questioning everything, wondering how you got here. That's where the growth begins. Not in the spotlight, but in the struggle. People want to be seen healing more than they want applause, sympathy, validation. But healing doesn't come with claps. It comes with tears, with honesty, with accountability. You've got to admit the part you played. You've got to stop blaming everyone else and start asking the hard questions. Why do I attract this? Why do I tolerate this? What am I avoiding? You don't need the world to understand your process. You don't need their approval to move on. Your journey is personal. Your healing is sacred. Don't let anyone rush you. Don't let anyone shame you. Some wounds take longer to close than others. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. And you ain't here to impress anybody with your pain. Stop documenting your deliverance and just live it. Let it be real. Let it be raw. Let it be uncomfortable. Healing looks like crying in your car, like writing out your thoughts in a journal, like cutting off someone you still love because they keep breaking your heart. That's the real work. That's the unseen battle. And that's where strength is born. When you heal for real, you start losing interest in performing. You stop needing attention. You stop needing validation. You stop trying to prove anything. You become quiet, focused, and grounded. That's the beauty of real transformation. It doesn't need an audience to be effective. It just needs truth, time, and effort. You don't have to tell the world you're changing. Let them see it. Let your peace speak for itself. Let your boundaries speak for themselves. Let your growth scream silently through your actions. The loudest healing is the kind that whispers through consistency, through elevation, through peace that no longer gets disturbed. Protect your process. Guard your progress. Let the healing happen behind closed doors. Because when you come out on the other side, it won't be because people clap for you. It'll be because you finally showed up for yourself. Every time you tolerate disrespect, you teach them that it's okay. Every time you stay silent when they cross the line, you show them where the boundaries are. And the truth is, people will treat you based on the standards you set for yourself. If you keep lowering that standard just to keep someone around, you're showing them that your peace ain't valuable, that your worth is negotiable, that your love comes with discounts. Respect starts with you. If you don't value your time, your energy, your heart, why would anyone else? If you keep over-giving and under-receiving, you're telling the world that you settle for crumbs when you deserve the whole meal. That ain't humility, that's self-betrayal. You've been letting too much slide in the name of keeping the peace, but peace that costs your self-respect is too expensive. You don't have to scream to set boundaries. You just have to mean it. You don't have to fight people to be treated right. You just stop participating when the treatment is wrong. You don't have to chase closure or beg for understanding. The real flex is learning to walk away the moment your spirit starts feeling uneasy. Because that uneasiness is your intuition speaking, and it's been right the whole time. You can love someone and still say, I won't allow that. You can care deeply and still walk away from what's unhealthy. You're not responsible for fixing people who refuse to grow. You're responsible for protecting your peace, your growth, and your healing. And sometimes that means letting people be exactly who they are, somewhere far away from you. You're not hard to love. You're just no longer entertaining love that comes with pain, confusion, or conditions. Real love honors, it respects, it shows up without needing to be begged. And when you hold yourself to that standard, you stop allowing anyone into your life who doesn't meet it. That's not arrogance. That's growth. That's maturity. That's power. Your energy is expensive. Your heart is priceless. Your time is limited. Stop giving all of that away so casually to people who wouldn't lift their finger for you if the roles were reversed. Start asking yourself, would I accept this from a stranger? If not, why am I accepting it from someone just because they're familiar? Rewriting the standard doesn't mean you'll end up alone. It means you stop settling. And once you stop settling, the right people, the ones who respect your worth, will start showing up. They'll match your energy, not drain it. They'll water your growth, not suffocate it. But it all starts with what you allow. Some people were only meant to be in your life for a season. That's it. A chapter, not the whole book, but you keep rereading that chapter over and over, hoping the ending will magically change. It won't. And the longer you hold on, the more you delay the new story God's trying to write. You're so afraid of change that you're missing out on transformation. The signs were there. The vibe started shifting. The communication dropped. The energy felt forced. But you ignored it because you didn't want to face the truth. They weren't invested anymore. They stopped showing up fully. And instead of letting go, you held tighter. You thought love was supposed to hurt. That's not love, that's attachment. That's fear dressed up in loyalty. You're not obligated to make a one-sided connection work. You don't owe anyone forever just because they were there during a certain phase of your life. People grow apart. People outgrow versions of each other. That doesn't mean you're bitter. It means you're aware. You're allowed to release what no longer fits without guilt. It's called evolving. You keep trying to fix it, hoping they'll return to who they used to be, but that person doesn't exist anymore. And maybe they never did. Maybe you fell in love with potential, with the version of them you hoped would show up consistently. But hoping can turn into delusion if you're not careful. At some point, you have to accept that it's over. Letting go doesn't mean you fail. It means you're wise enough to know when something has expired. It takes strength to stop fighting for what's no longer fighting for you. It takes courage to admit that your heart is worth more than being someone's option. And it takes faith to believe that better is coming. When you stop forcing people to stay, you make space for peace to enter. You start seeing clearly. You stop justifying red flags. You stop negotiating with your intuition. You stop confusing inconsistency with passion. The clarity hits hard, but it's liberating. And that freedom, it feels like exhaling after holding your breath for years. Don't be afraid of the next season. What's ahead is greater than what you're leaving behind. You've learned the lessons. You felt the pain. Now it's time to turn the page. And this time, don't carry the weight of unfinished stories into your new chapter. Leave them where they ended. You were never meant to beg for the bare minimum. You were never created to be someone's afterthought, backup plan, or emotional convenience. You were made to be chosen intentionally, fully, and without hesitation. But too many times you've settled for being tolerated just to feel some kind of closeness. That's not love. That's survival. And you were made for more than survival. You feel it in your gut when someone's just tolerating you. They respond out of duty, not desire. They show up inconsistently. They celebrate you only when it benefits them. And yet you keep hoping they'll one day wake up and realize how valuable you are. But if someone can't see your worth now, don't wait for them to lose you before they pretend to notice. Being chosen means someone sees your flaws and still says, I want you. It means someone doesn't play games with your time, your energy, your heart. It means the effort is consistent, love is clear, and peace is present. You've been chasing clarity from people who only give confusion. That cycle ends when you finally believe that you deserve more than emotional breadcrumbs. You were made to be a priority, not a placeholder. You were made to be pursued, not pitied. Stop romanticizing situations that hurt you just because you don't want to start over. Starting over is scary, but so is staying stuck in cycles that drain you. Every time you tolerate less than you deserve, you tell the universe, this is okay. Stop saying it's okay. It's not okay. You don't have to be perfect to be chosen. You just have to be real. And real love chooses you without you having to perform. It sees your soul. It hears your silence. It protects your heart. Stop chasing people who don't even know how to hold what you carry. You're not too much. You've just given your heart to people who are too little. It's time to raise the bar. It's time to stop accepting confusion as normal. It's time to stop lowering yourself just to make someone else feel tall. You were not created to be tolerated. You were created to be celebrated, to be seen, to be loved in a way that doesn't feel like pressure or pain. When you start choosing yourself fully, the right people will too. But it all starts with how you treat yourself. Because when you stop tolerating what drains you, you start attracting what elevates you. You've been trained to believe that alone means broken, abandoned, unworthy. But what if alone is the exact space where you get rebuilt? Where do you remember who you are without all the noise, the opinions, the distraction? Being alone is not a punishment. It's a platform. It's a space of power most people never explore because they're too scared of what they might hear in the silence. The silence you're afraid of, that's where your answers are. That's where your strength starts speaking. That's where your true voice begins to rise again. When you're constantly surrounded by people, you start absorbing their fears, their doubts, and their patterns. But when you step back and sit with yourself, you start to filter through what's really yours and what's just residue from the crowd. Being alone teaches you how to be your own peace. It teaches you how to enjoy your own presence. It reveals the parts of you that got buried under people-pleasing and performance. It's in the solitude where you rediscover your dreams, your values, your non-negotiables. It's in the solitude where God starts whispering purpose back into your spirit. You don't have to feel every moment with people to feel worthy. You don't need constant validation to feel complete. The more time you spend with yourself, the less you depend on others to define your worth. That's where real confidence is born. Not in popularity, but in solitude. Not in applause, but in peace. Alone time is where you heal. It's where you reflect. It's where you start asking the hard questions. Why did I allow that? What patterns am I repeating? Who am I without these relationships? You start becoming intentional. You start becoming selective. You stop allowing just anybody to enter your life because you finally understand what your energy is worth. And the best part, once you learn to be happy alone, you stop settling out of fear. You stop clinging to people who only feed your loneliness but starve your soul. You no longer tolerate chaos just to avoid quiet. You choose peace over presence. And when someone new enters your life, it's not to complete you, it's to complement you. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So become whole on your own. Become healed on your own. Become joyful on your own. Because when you do, you no longer beg for love, you recognize it when it shows up, right? They told you walking away means giving up. That means you're weak. That means you didn't care enough. But here's the truth. Walking away takes more strength than staying stuck. It takes courage to say, I deserve better. It takes self-respect to say, this is no longer feeding my soul. It takes vision to look ahead when everything in you wants to hold on to the familiar. You're not quitting. You're choosing peace. You're not bitter. You're finally being honest. Walking away doesn't mean you hate them. It means you love yourself enough to stop betraying yourself for the sake of keeping someone who doesn't show up fully. And that right there, that's growth. That's maturity. That's power in action. You stayed long after your spirit left. You stayed out of habit, out of fear, out of guilt. But deep down, you knew. You knew it wasn't right. You knew you were being drained. You knew you were constantly shrinking. And still, you kept justifying it because you didn't want to look like the bad guy. But who's protecting you while you're protecting your feelings? Walking away is protecting your purpose. It's choosing your future over your familiarity. It's realizing that holding on to dead weight only delays your destiny. Sometimes God will close a door and you sit at the threshold begging for it to reopen. But what you don't realize is that what's ahead requires a version of you that's lighter, freer, stronger, and that version can't carry old baggage. You can't grow in environments that constantly trigger your wounds. You can't become who you're meant to be while entertaining who you used to be. Walking away is honoring the next version of yourself. It's you saying, I love myself enough not to stay here. That's not quitting, that's graduating. And yes, it's gonna hurt. Yes, you'll miss them. Yes, the memories will sneak up on you. But pain is temporary. Regret is permanent. Every time you stay in something that's not aligned, you trade your future peace for present comfort. It's not worth it. The price is too high. Your spirit deserves better than constant compromise. Say, walk away when it no longer serves your peace. Walk away when the lesson is learned. Walk away when staying means breaking your own heart just to hold someone else's hand. That's not love. That's self-abandonment. And you were never created to abandon yourself just to keep others comfortable. People will test you. They'll see how far they can push, how much can they take, what they can get away with. And if you don't have boundaries, they'll turn your kindness into a convenience store, only showing up when they need something and leaving the shelves empty every time they walk away. But boundaries, they fix that real quick. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They're doors to filter who belongs. They're not about control. They're about clarity. This is what I allow. This is what I don't. Simple, firm, direct. Not explained, not negotiated. And the people who truly respect you, they won't be offended. They'll appreciate it. When you set boundaries, you stop overextending. You stop saying yes when you're tired, sure when you're stressed. It's fine when it's not. You stop smiling through disrespect. You stop laughing off mistreatment. You start standing up without raising your voice. That's self-love in real time. Boundaries teach people how to treat you. They separate the ones who love you from the ones who use you. Because love without respect isn't love, it's control, entitlement, manipulation, and you weren't made to be controlled. You were made to be respected, honored, and treated like the valuable person you are. It's not easy. Some people will get offended when you draw the line. That's because they benefited when you had none. But don't let their reaction make you question your decision. Protecting your peace isn't up for debate. And anyone who makes you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself is someone who was never truly for you. You don't need to explain your boundaries. You just need to enforce them. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to you. Your energy is sacred. Your heart is gold. Your time is priceless. Set the tone and watch how quickly the wrong people start exiting your life. That's not loss. That's alignment. Every time you choose a boundary over people-pleasing, you reclaim a piece of yourself. You remind yourself that you matter too, that your needs aren't a burden, that your voice deserves to be heard. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Boundaries stop being scary, they start being freedom. You keep showing up for people who disappear the moment you need them. You keep investing energy into something that keeps giving you less and less return. And deep down, you already know it's not getting better. It's not evolving. It's not serving your growth. But because you're loyal, because you have a good heart, you keep trying to fix what's already cracked beyond repair. There comes a point where you have to realize love alone isn't enough to hold something together. You can pour all of yourself into a person, into a relationship, into a situation, but if they're not willing to meet you halfway, you're just draining yourself dry. You can't heal someone who refuses to take responsibility for their wounds. You've apologized for things that weren't your fault. You've overextended just to keep the peace. You've dimmed your light so someone else could feel more comfortable in your presence. But that's not love. That's a sacrifice at your own expense. That's abandoning yourself just to keep someone else from leaving. Stop fixing people who break you to feel powerful. Stop thinking your love can transform someone who's not even willing to put in effort. Stop believing that if you just do one more thing, they'll finally love you the way you need. That's a toxic cycle disguised as hope. And hope with no action from the other side becomes heartbreak. It's not your job to carry the relationship on your back. It's not your responsibility to convince someone of your worth. The moment you feel like you have to work for someone's basic respect, you've already given too much. And the longer you stay in that space, the more it chips away at your identity. Letting go of it isn't giving up. It's choosing you. It's realizing that peace is more important than potential. It's understanding that love should build you, not break you. You can't keep repairing what was never solid to begin with. Sometimes the foundation was faulty from the start, and now you're just stacking bricks on top of dysfunction. The people meant for you won't need to be fixed. They'll come healed, whole, and ready. And if they're not there yet, they'll do the work, not expect you to do it for them. But you won't experience that kind of love if you keep holding on to what keeps breaking you from the inside. Honesty is a beautiful thing until it turns into a prison. You keep staying out of loyalty, you keep giving out of loyalty, you keep hurting out of loyalty. But real loyalty doesn't demand that you abandon yourself. It doesn't require you to lose your peace, your voice, your joy, just to prove you care. There's a thin line between being loyal and being used. And too many people will cross it if you don't draw. You've confused endurance with love. You've mistaken longevity for loyalty. But just because you've known someone for years doesn't mean they still deserve access to your life today. You have to ask yourself, is this loyalty to them or disloyalty to me? Because every time you choose them over your well-being, every time you shrink yourself to keep the bond, you're betraying yourself. And no connection is worth that level of self-burial. That's not a relationship. That's a cage. Loyalty doesn't mean tolerating disrespect. It doesn't mean excusing bad behavior because of history. Loyalty is mutual. It's a two-way street. If you're the only one pouring, only one staying consistent, only one bending, that's not loyalty, that's imbalance. That's you carrying something that should be shared. Stop calling it loyalty when it's fear of being alone. Stop calling it love when it's an obligation. If you have to suffer to stay, if you have to silence your truth to maintain peace, then that peace is fake. And fake peace is more destructive than open conflict because it wears you down silently. You owe yourself the same level of commitment you keep giving to others. You deserve to be loyal to your dream, loyal to your healing, loyal to your purpose. It's not selfish, it's survival, it's sanity, it's self-respect, showing up with boundaries and standards. So be loyal, but start with yourself. Because when you're loyal to your values, your future, your truth, you stop getting stuck in cycles that only serve your past. You start walking in alignment, not just attachment. You start choosing peace, not just presence. You say you want to heal, but you keep texting them. You say you're done, but you keep checking their socials. You say you've moved on, but you keep replaying the moments in your head like a broken record. Healing doesn't happen just because time passes. Healing happens when you stop picking at the scab. You can't heal in the same place that broke you. You can't heal while you're still entertaining conversations that reopen the pain. You can't expect peace while staying attached to triggers. Healing requires distance. It requires boundaries. It requires a commitment to yourself that says, I'm not going back there anymore. There's no healing in pretending. You can lie to your friends, you can post like you glowing, but if your heart's still tied to someone who's gone, you'll feel it every night when the silence sets in. Healing is honest, it's messy, it hurts, but it works. When you let it do its job without interference. Stop romanticizing the past. You remember the highs, but you're forgetting the lows. You're filtering the memories to cope with the pain. But if it was meant for you, you wouldn't have had to beg for the basics. You wouldn't have cried yourself to sleep wondering if you mattered. That wasn't love. That was survival mode disguised as connection. Healing isn't just letting go of the person. It's letting go of who you were when you were with them. It's shedding the identity that accepted less. It's rewriting the story that said, this is all I'll ever get. Because the healed version of you won't even recognize the pain you used to settle in. It's not about hating them. It's about loving you. Loving you enough to not keep putting yourself in emotional harm's way. Loving you enough to say, I deserve better. Loving you enough to stop reopening the wound every time it starts to close. That's when the healing sticks. That's when the growth becomes real. And once you heal for real, you won't crave what hurt you. You won't chase what left you. You won't miss what manipulated you. You'll be too focused on your future to mourn your past. And that's where the real power begins to ride. Peace is underrated until you finally taste it after chaos. You don't realize how valuable peace is until you've been surrounded by noise, emotional noise, mental noise, spiritual noise. Once you get a glimpse of it, you start to notice how much you've been tolerating for the sake of keeping people comfortable in your space. Protecting your peace isn't about cutting everyone off. It's about being honest about who disrupts your spirit, who leaves you drained, who leaves you doubting yourself, who leaves you feeling like you're never enough, even after giving your best. Those are the people peace can't survive around. You got to start treating your peace like it's gold, because it is. Peace is what lets you sleep at night. Peace is what keeps your mind calm when life's moving fast. Peace is what gives you clarity, vision, and direction. You can't afford to let anyone jeopardize that just because they're familiar or attached to your past. Peace isn't passive, it's intentional. It's waking up and deciding, I'm not engaging in drama today. It's saying no without guilt. It's turning down the call. Will mess with your energy. It's choosing to be around people who pour into you, not pick you apart in the name of love or jokes. You don't owe anyone your peace. Not family, not friends, not your past self, not the person you used to be, who tolerated everything just to feel needed. You've evolved, you've grown. You see through the noise now. And that peace you found, guard it like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. The moment you start protecting your peace, you start living for real. You stop performing. You stop explaining. You stop apologizing for simply wanting to breathe. That's when your creativity comes back. Your passion comes back. Your joy starts showing up unannounced. That's when life starts feeling like yours again. Letting them go isn't just about losing people. It's about gaining your peace. And once you have it, once you've built a life where your soul feels safe, you'll never trade it again. You'll say goodbye a lot quicker. You'll move differently because peace makes you powerful. You're trying to step into your next chapter carrying people who were only meant for your last one. And that's why it feels heavy. That's why you're tired. That's why you're dragging your feet, because you're carrying extra weight that's not supposed to come with you where you're headed.